The arena was electric. The clock ticked down, and the crowd's roar was deafening. It was the 2023 NCAA Women's Basketball National Championship, and all eyes were on Caitlin Clark, the sharpshooting phenom from Iowa, already hailed as the Steph Curry of women's college hoops. She was fierce, unrelenting, and dazzling. Across the court stood Angel Reese, LSU's powerhouse forward with a chip on her shoulder and something to prove, not just to critics, but to the world that had underestimated her for far too long. What happened in the final seconds of that game was more than basketball. It was personal, cultural, and controversial. Angel waved her hand in front of her face in the now iconic "You can't see me" taunt, then pointed to her ring finger. Social media exploded. The moment instantly went viral. Was it disrespect, revenge, or something deeper? For many, this was just a sports highlight. But for those who knew the behind-the-scenes truth, it was only the tip of the iceberg. What the world didn't see, what the cameras didn't catch, was the brewing storm that began long before the championship game. And it all started with a handshake that never happened. In February 2023, during a closed media shoot for a promotional NCAA campaign, Caitlin and Angel were both invited for a joint interview. They were meant to be the new faces of women's college basketball, polar opposites in style, but equal in dominance. The session was meant to be empowering, uplifting, but things didn't go as planned. When Caitlin walked onto the set, she extended her hand toward Angel with a casual grin. But Angel, visibly tense, simply nodded. No handshake, no smile. The room froze. The production crew brushed it off. Maybe nerves, maybe focus, but the tension between them was undeniable, crackling like static in the air. Throughout the shoot, their energy clashed. Caitlin's sharp confidence against Angel's smoldering intensity. Behind the scenes, whispers began to circulate. "She doesn't respect me," Angel reportedly told a teammate later. "She thinks she's the only queen in this game." Meanwhile, Caitlin confided in her assistant coach, "I don't know what her problem is. I've got nothing against her." But resentment was already festering. And it wasn't just about on-court antics. Angel had long been criticized for her emotions, her fire, her swagger. Media headlines labeled her too aggressive, too loud, too flashy. Meanwhile, Caitlin's similar intensity was praised as fierce, competitive, and charismatic. Angel saw the double standard clearly, and it burned. As the NCAA tournament drew near, both players rose to legendary heights. Caitlin was putting up triple-doubles, pulling shots from the logo. Angel was smashing records in rebounds and points, leading LSU with unmatched dominance. The nation was primed for a collision course. It wasn't just Iowa versus LSU. It was Clark versus Reese. And for Angel, this wasn't just about a title. It was personal redemption. Days before the championship game, a leaked audio clip surfaced online. It was a locker room speech by Caitlin Clark. "We're not backing down," she said. "Let them talk. We'll do the walking." Fans speculated the clip was aimed at Angel, who was known for fiery pregame interviews and impassioned celebrations. The LSU locker room took it personally, Angel especially. "That's fine," she reportedly told her coach. "I'll let my game speak." On game day, Caitlin dropped 30. Angel dropped 15 with 10 rebounds. But it wasn't just the stats that mattered. It was a moment that came with seconds left. The taunt, the gesture, the message. Some called Angel classless. Others called her a hero. Caitlin later said in a press conference, "I don't think she should be criticized at all. She played a great game." But was that really how Caitlin felt? Or was it a carefully crafted PR move? What no one knew was that something else happened in the tunnel after the game, something never shown on TV. Security footage that has never been publicly released shows Angel approaching Caitlin near the locker room hallway. There are no words, just a look, a long, cold look. Caitlin's expression? Shocked. And then Angel turned and walked away. What did that stare mean? And why did Caitlin look rattled afterward? Even months later, the two rarely mention each other in interviews, but insiders suggest something was brewing, a secret feud that hadn't cooled down. And then came the Olympics roster announcement. Caitlin Clark was left off. Angel Reese was in. The internet went into meltdown. Was it politics, performance, or payback? But the real question wasn't about selection. It was about what happened behind closed doors that led to Caitlin being left out. Because just days before the final Olympic roster was revealed, Caitlin received an anonymous package in her mailbox. No return address, no note. Inside, a ring, not gold, not silver, but a cheap plastic ring with one word engraved in it. Remember. Caitlin stared at it for minutes, frozen. Who sent it? What did it mean? And how was it connected to Angel? You're about to find out. The plastic ring sat on Caitlin Clark's kitchen table for days, mocking her, taunting her. Every time she looked at it, she felt a strange blend of confusion and dread. Remember, that one word etched on the inside of the ring echoed in her mind like a threat. Was it a prank? A fan's strange tribute? Or something more sinister? She thought about throwing it away, but something stopped her, because deep down, Caitlin knew this wasn't random. Days later, the USA Women's Basketball Olympic roster dropped, and her name wasn't on it, despite breaking multiple records, selling out arenas, and becoming the most talked about women's basketball player in the country. Caitlin Clark had been snubbed. The media lost its mind. Disrespectful, a slap in the face. Politics over performance. But behind the scenes, the whispers were louder than the headlines. A USA basketball official, speaking anonymously, told a sports journalist, the decision wasn't just about skill. It was about chemistry. We had to protect the locker room. Protect the locker room from what? Caitlin's camp was stunned. She had trained relentlessly, kept her mouth shut, and played through injuries. She had even toned down her on-court celebrations to avoid further scrutiny. So why was she being portrayed as a problem? Her agent reached out to USA Basketball. The response was vague. Then, 2 nights later, she received another package. This time, it wasn't a ring. It was a single photograph, a candid shot, blurry, grainy, clearly taken from phone. It was from the tunnel after the championship game. The same moment Caitlin remembered so clearly. There she was, staring at Angel Reese in the dim light. But in this version of the photo, it looked different. The image had been doctored. In the altered version, Caitlin was scowling. Her fist was clenched. Her lips curled in what looked like a snarl. But she had never looked like that. The real moment had been quiet, awkward, intense, yes, but not hostile. Who was behind this? She turned the photo over. Written in bold black marker. Not everything is how it seems. Caitlin's heart pounded. It felt like someone was rewriting history, turning her into a villain. And then the worst part, the photo was leaked. A popular basketball blog published it with a headline. Leaked image reveals Clark's tunnel confrontation with Angel Reese. Within hours, social media exploded again. Hashtags trended. Hashtag Mean Clark. Hashtag Not So Innocent. Hashtag Team Angel. Commentators speculated on what had really happened. Some claimed Caitlin had tried to confront Angel after the game and was stopped by security. Others spun the theory that Clark had disrespected Reese off camera and the taunt was justified retaliation. Angel? Silent. She didn't post. She didn't tweet. She didn't deny it. Caitlin was drowning in silence. Even her teammates were cautious. Some avoided texting her. Others offered support, but always privately. A former assistant coach at Iowa called her. "I think someone's playing dirty," she said quietly. "They're trying to make you the problem. And I don't think Angel is working alone." Caitlin sat in her dark room, blinds drawn, scrolling through comments. She wasn't just losing the Olympics. She was losing her reputation. But then something changed. Late one night, she received a private message on Instagram. The account had no profile photo, no followers, no name. It read, "You don't know what happened before the taunt. Ask her about Atlanta." Caitlin froze. Atlanta? She hadn't been to Atlanta with Angel. Not that she remembered. But then it hit her there was one time. During their freshman year, both LSU and Iowa were part of a closed-door, invitation-only training camp hosted by a Nike affiliate. It wasn't televised. It wasn't publicized. No one talked about it because it was part of a brand development program under strict NDA. She remembered the trip vaguely. Jet lag, private scrimmages, brand meetings, and a strange moment. Late one night, the two teams had crossed paths in the hotel lobby. Angel had been arguing with someone on the phone. Her voice carried. "I'm done playing second to her," Angel had shouted. "Watch what I do." Caitlin had pretended not to hear, but Angel had seen her. The look in her eyes wasn't anger. It was hurt. Was that the moment? Was that where the seed was planted? Before Caitlin could process it, her phone buzzed again. Another message. Same anonymous account. Atlanta was the beginning. The next step happens in Vegas. Vegas? What did that mean? Then the message self-deleted. Account gone. Later that week, Caitlin was invited as a guest to a WNBA summer media event in, of all places, Las Vegas. Angel Reese was also scheduled to appear. The media billed it as a reunion. Fans buzzed with anticipation. Will there be a face-off? Will they settle the beef? Caitlin debated canceling, but something in her gut said she had to go, not just to face Angel, but to find the truth. She landed in Vegas on a sweltering August morning. The event was at a luxury resort, tight security everywhere, flashing cameras, adoring fans. But Angel wasn't there, at least not at first. Halfway through the panel, Caitlin received a message from the event organizer. Angel wants to meet, privately, no media. The location? Penthouse Suite 33A. Caitlin hesitated. This felt wrong, but she needed answers. She took the elevator alone. Her heart pounded with every floor. 21, 25, 30, 33. The doors opened to a hallway. Silent, empty. She walked to the suite and knocked. No answer. She tried the handle. Unlocked. She pushed the door open slowly. And what she saw next made her gasp. A wall of photos, newspaper clippings, videos playing on loop, and at the center of it all, a life-size poster of Caitlin Clark, with her eyes scratched out. The suite was silent, but Caitlin Clark's heart pounded like a drum. She stood frozen in the doorway of Penthouse 33A, staring at the wall. Dozens of images had been taped and pinned in a chaotic collage. Photos from games, magazine covers, grainy stills from practice sessions, news headlines. All of them featured her. Caitlin Clark. In one corner, there was a replay loop from the championship game, showing the infamous taunt again and again. Below it, someone had written in thick red marker, "She deserved it." Then she saw it, a photo from Atlanta, her first year. It showed Caitlin in the hotel lobby, looking toward Angel, who stood in the background. Caitlin barely remembered the moment, but this image had been zoomed, brightened, and reprinted as if it were proof of something huge. Suddenly, a floorboard creaked. Caitlin spun around. Angel Reese stood in the hallway, arms folded. She wasn't wearing a jersey or her signature lashes, just black leggings and a hoodie. No smile, no warmth. "You weren't supposed to see this yet," Angel said. Caitlin swallowed hard. "What is this?" Angel stepped into the room, letting the door close behind her with a soft click. "It's the truth," she said quietly. Caitlin shook her head. "This isn't truth. This is obsession." Angel's eyes flashed. "You really think I'm obsessed with you? After everything?" Caitlin looked around the room again. "What is all this?" Angel stepped closer. "It's the story nobody wants to tell. The one where the media crowns a queen without asking who got trampled along the way." "I never asked to be crowned," Caitlin said sharply. "But you were..." Angel snapped. "And every time you hit a logo 3 or dropped 30, the world cheered. But when I did anything, showed emotion, talked back, even smiled too hard, they called me classless." Caitlin's voice cracked. "That wasn't me. I didn't write those headlines." "But you benefited," Angel said, "and you never once called it out." A tense silence fell between them. Angel turned toward the collage. She tapped one of the photos, an ESPN cover showing Caitlin in mid-shot. "I kept quiet all year, played my game, did my part. And then, in that final, I let the fire out, just for a second. and the world lost its mind. Caitlyn exhaled because it looked like hate. It wasn't hate, Angel said. It was the truth. The truth they wouldn't let me say in interviews. So I said it on the court. And now, Caitlyn asked, "What's this? A shrine? A warning?" Angel's expression changed. Softer. It was supposed to be a statement. For the cameras. I was going to bring you here later and explain everything. Not like this. Caitlyn stepped back. So what? This was all just a setup? Angel looked pained. You don't get it, do you? You never had to fight the way I did. They loved you from day one. I had to earn every inch. Caitlyn's voice was barely a whisper. I earned mine too. Angel didn't answer. Then Caitlyn's phone buzzed. A text from her agent. Get out. Media leak incoming. Photo of you and Angel as sweet already circulating. You're being set up. Her hands trembled. She looked at Angel. Did you leak it? Angel's eyes widened. No, but the damage was already in motion. Within minutes, a new headline surfaced online. Clark confronts Reese in secret penthouse meeting. The beef isn't over. Clickbait. But it was working. Caitlyn backed away, her chest tightening. I have to go. Angel didn't stop her. She raced to the elevator, heart pounding, tears threatening. On the ride down, she opened her social media. Hundreds of new comments. Why can't you leave Angel alone? She's obsessed. Clark's the real villain. Her public image was unraveling, and someone, maybe multiple people, were pulling the strings. The next day, her agent arranged an emergency PR interview to clarify her side, but Caitlyn refused. I'm not playing defense anymore, she said. If someone wants to end me, let them come face me. And just like that, Caitlyn made a decision. She would confront the person truly behind the chaos, because something about Angel's reaction didn't sit right. She looked surprised when Caitlyn mentioned the leaked photo, which meant someone else was in the penthouse. That night, Caitlyn checked the hotel's digital key log. She had a friend in guest services who owed her a favor. At 3:12 p.m., just 20 minutes before Caitlyn entered Suite 33A, another guest had accessed a room. Guest name, S. Barrett. Caitlyn froze. Sasha Barrett, a former college basketball blogger turned influencer. Someone who had once called Caitlyn overhyped in a viral post. Sasha now worked as a freelance media consultant, and she had connections to both Angel and the Olympic Selection Committee. Caitlyn confronted her. Sasha was smug. You're not the victim, Caitlyn, she said. You just finally lost control of the narrative. Caitlyn glared. You staged everything. Sasha shrugged. I didn't stage anything. I just gave people what they already believed. But why? Sasha leaned in. Because women's sports needs drama. It needs conflict. And you two, you're the perfect storm. Caitlyn's voice was ice. You destroyed my career for clicks. No, Sasha whispered. You destroyed at the moment you underestimated Angel. Caitlyn turned to walk away, but Sasha called after her. You still don't get it. This isn't about hate. It's about legacy, and only one of you will survive it. Later that night, Caitlyn sat alone in her hotel room. She scrolled through her messages. One caught her eye. It was from a blocked number. Just one sentence. She's not your enemy, but she's not in control either. Attached was a single image, a security camera freeze frame from the hotel hallway. Someone slipping into Suite 33A wearing a staff uniform, face hidden. It wasn't Angel. It wasn't Sasha. It was someone else entirely. And they were still out there. Caitlyn Clark was done hiding. The public had turned on her. The media twisted every move. But now, after all the leaks, lies, and fake photos, the truth was finally clawing its way to the surface. And the final clue, a blurry image of a person slipping into Suite 33A wearing a staff uniform, haunted her. It wasn't Angel. It wasn't Sasha Barrett. So who was it? Caitlyn had an idea, and it was a long shot. She reached out to Devin Marks, a retired video analyst who once worked with USA Basketball. He'd helped athletes clear their names in the past. She sent him the freeze frame and asked just one question. Can you enhance the badge? Hours later, she had her answer. The uniform bore a logo, not for the hotel, but for a private security firm called Veritas Protection Group, a small-time company with a major client list, including WNBA sponsors and NCAA tournament venues. And one name stood out among their executives, Miranda Ellis. Miranda had been on the Olympic selection advisory panel. She was also known for advocating media-first athlete branding strategies, pushing for conflict-driven marketing to boost ratings. Caitlin's stomach twisted. This wasn't just sabotage, it was strategy. Ellis had been working the angle behind the scenes, creating a rift between the league's two biggest stars, Caitlin and Angel. Stirring controversy meant more headlines, more engagement, more money, and they'd both been pawns. Caitlin paced the floor of her hotel room. Angel wasn't the enemy. She never was. The real enemy had been manipulating them from the start, capitalizing on racial tension, playing with public opinion, and turning the game into a soap opera. But there was one thing Ellis hadn't counted on: Caitlin and Angel speaking directly. The next day, Caitlin showed up in an open WNBA media workout in Vegas. Angel was there, warming up. Cameras rolled. Fans cheered. Reporters buzzed. Caitlin walked straight up to her, mid-practice, mid-camera frenzy, and said one sentence: "We need to talk. Alone." Angel blinked, her expression unreadable, but she nodded. They ducked into a back hallway, behind a curtain of banners and water stations. For a moment, both were silent. Caitlin spoke first. "We were both played." Angel crossed her arms. "Explain." Caitlin showed her a photo of the Veritas uniform, the badge, the timestamp, the connection to Miranda Ellis. Then she told Angel about Sasha Barrett, the penthouse, the leaks, the doctored images. Angel's jaw clenched. So this was all a game to them? "They used both of us," Caitlin said. "Our rivalry, our personalities. They fed the public whatever version of us got the most clicks." Angel looked down at her shoes, then back at Caitlin. "You're right," she said. "I felt it too. The pressure, the way they shaped the story. I thought you were part of it." "I thought the same about you," Caitlin admitted. Angel sighed. "And now everyone hates both of us." Caitlin managed a dry smile. "At least we've got that in common." For the first time in over a year, the tension between them cracked. Not from conflict, from clarity. They didn't need to fight each other. They needed to fight back. That evening, they dropped a joint video on social media. No handlers, no editors, just the two of them in a quiet room, side by side. Caitlin spoke first. "You've seen the headlines, the memes, the drama, but none of it's the full truth." Angel continued. "What started as a competition became something bigger, and we let others twist it into a feud. But we're done letting others write our story." They didn't name names. They didn't need to. The internet exploded. Support poured in. The same fans who picked sides began to see the manipulation. Influencers and sports media personalities backtracked. "We were wrong. They were set up." Respect to both queens. But the true test was still ahead. That weekend, Caitlin's team faced Angels in the most anticipated WNBA matchup of the season. The arena was packed. Millions tuned in. And for the first time in a long time, the energy in the air wasn't hostile. It was electric with possibility. In warm-ups, Caitlin and Angel exchanged a fist bump. The cameras caught it. The crowd roared. Then came the game. Caitlin lit up the court with 27 points, 9 assists. Angel dominated the paint with 19 rebounds, 4 blocks, and 15 points of her own. But what stood out more than the stats? How they looked for each other. When Angel blocked a shot, Caitlin ran up to high-five her. When Caitlin hit a deep three, Angel clapped from the other end of the floor. The rivalry didn't vanish. It evolved into respect, into power, into unity. After the game, during the joint press conference, a reporter asked Caitlin, "What really happened between you two?" Caitlin glanced at Angel, then answered, "We let the world divide us, but we're taking it back." Angel added, We're not enemies. We're a movement. The crowd went silent, then erupted. That night, WNBA jersey sales for both players hit an all-time high. Major sponsors called. And Miranda Ellis? She resigned 2 weeks later, under quiet pressure from the league. But Caitlin and Angel didn't stop there. They launched a foundation, Equal Court, a project aimed at empowering young female athletes, tackling bias in media coverage, and promoting honest storytelling in sports. They weren't just stars anymore. They were leaders. And yet, one final twist remained. 6 months later, Caitlin received a handwritten letter. No name, no return address. Inside was the original plastic ring, the same one that had first landed in her mailbox months ago. This time, a second word had been scratched onto the inside of the band. Forgive. Was it Angel? Was it someone else? Caitlin would never know for sure, but she placed the ring in a small glass case beside her trophies, because now she understood something deeper than rivalry and fame. The story wasn't just about what happened between her and Angel Reese. It was about how far people will go to divide greatness, and how much stronger it becomes when it unites. Thank you for following the Untold Truth. If this story moved you, share it. Subscribe for more real-life sports dramas that go deeper than the surface.